Howdy, my name is Andrew Tungate. These are my teammates, Jesus Carrasco, Tim Ryan, David Abbott, Taylor Herman, and Spencer Solomon. We are the Outside the Square QNV analysis team for Century Square. Now we'll just do a little introduction on quadruple net value analysis. A quadruple net value analysis is a way to quantify the value added on a property on four metrics. Go ahead. The first, social cultural metrics, analyzes the interactions within the site. Environmental metrics analyzes how the property or development affects the overall environmental quality of the surroundings. Okay. And then the economic analysis analyzes the revenue and tax sources that the property and development brings to the town. And sensory touches on all how the property affects all of the five senses: sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch. Century Square, the project in question, is a 60-acre development located in College Station, Texas. It's located directly adjacent to Texas A&M campus and is slated to be finished in 2018-2019. And then we'll just show you our analysis video.
Century Square is a 60-acre development in Northeast College Station, directly adjacent to Texas A&M campus. It is comprised of a mix of uses, including hospitality, multifamily residential, and grade A office space. In this project, our aim is to assess the value of Century Square in the four categories of the quadruple net value analysis. These categories are social, cultural, environmental, economic, and sensory. In the next few minutes, we will discuss each of these aspects of the built environment as they pertain to the Century Square development.
The Century Square development project will allow for a great amount of open space and, with adequate seating, visitors and residents can relax and enjoy the environment. From the green to the canteen, children and adults can take advantage of an open space available for play, meditation, shopping, and exercise. With around 2 acres of activated public space and many programmed public events each month, Century Square creates an attraction point for locals to be drawn to throughout the week. The openness of the project lets the moonlight assist the light posts and rope lighting in and around the development, creating a safer, well-lit area. As of now, Century Square is not a very bicycle-friendly area. From daylight to nightlife, Century Square experiences a change in scenery. As lights turn on and signs light up, restaurants begin to fill and the area begins to come alive. Visitors can stop by Blaze for a pizza or the George and appreciate the artwork within the hotel, such as its various sheep throughout the complex or its stacked book mural in the shape of the Texas flag. Century Square has set out to establish a comforting environment that suits the needs of individuals of all ages. This place certainly has the potential to be great, and no project is perfect from the start.
Midway has dedicated over 2 acres to green space at Century Square. This includes the main open area of the green in addition to many other gardens and planting areas around the site. 7 mature live oaks were preserved and relocated on the site during construction, in addition to more than 150 planned new trees that are part of the design. The preservation of mature trees allows for the improved shade coverage and air quality benefits. Native or native-adapted plants were used for the xeriscaping around the buildings and filling in the green spaces. Many of these plants are Texas Superstar certified, such as the pink muley, trailing lantana, and knockout roses. These plants are selected by landscape experts for their reliability and quality in local weather. The xeriscaping reduces water and improves plant survivability. The buildings on site were constructed with consideration for LEED qualifications, which encourages healthy, efficient, and sustainable green buildings. And both the George and Calvary Court hotels have implemented low water fixtures to mitigate water use by guests.
In the short time that Century Square has been open to the public, it has had a noticeable impact on the overall economy of Brazos County. When all phases are complete, Century Square will produce over $3 million in taxes for the county. Taxes give the BCS area more opportunity to expand and improve infrastructure. These new tax benefits will far outweigh the IHOP, Schlotzsky's, and Harry's across the street that only provide the county with about $300,000. 100 Park, a multifamily apartment complex, produces a gross monthly income of around $300,000. It also has an occupancy rate of 86%. To lease an empty office building, a company will need to pay $23 per square foot. Information from Oldham Goodwin states that retail and restaurant occupancy rate is about 60%. This percentage will continue to rise because of the newly added tenants Mess Waffles, Hemline, Share Tea, and Premier Inc. The cost to fully build Century Square will be around $100 million. Lurie, with Satterfield and Pontig's Construction, state that this development will bring more than 350 jobs to College Station. This may seem like a small amount of people, but the addition of any number of employees creates waves of economic benefits for surrounding businesses. We had the privilege of talking to Michael Strothers from Midway about the number of jobs created from operation and maintaining the project. According to Strothers, Century Square is made up of 15 full-time employees that run the operation and management administration of Century Square.
The sensory impact of Century Square will be the most easily distinguished by its users. This is what brings people into the space and keeps them there. It is crucial for all the sensory elements to coincide with each other and convey themselves across the range of visitors. The visual impact will usually be the first of the senses engaged by the user. The George left no detail out visually. Everything from the floor to the ceiling and the furniture in between is meant to enhance the user's experience of this space. Adjacent to the George is the canteen, which is also rich in visual engagement. There is something for every eye to explore, from young children to old ags. With ample seating arrangements, both indoor and outdoor, this space was designed for interaction and pleasure. At the front of Century Square is more public open space with mixed seating and planting beds. In between the different retail shops and restaurants are transition zones where people can enjoy each other's company during the daylight hours and also at night because there is outdoor lighting features. Next, we have another crucial sensory element, which is smell and taste. People are driven by these two things, and with places such as Hop Dottie and Blaze Pizza right next to each other, there's an irresistible aroma in the air. There are also many seasonal plants on site that offer a variety of smells as the user passes through Century Square. Now let's slide into the element of touch. There are between 15 and 20 seating areas throughout Century Square, which means that if you can't find the just right seat for you Goldilocks, that's a personal problem. Lastly but not least is the noise element. People may not even realize the sounds they are taking in, but it all adds to the sense of environment that they are in. University Drives offers a lot of noise, but the retail and restaurants have been playing music which helps alleviate some of the unwanted noise from that area. The different ground textures also add a noise element. And here I took advantage of the 6th water feature.
All right, howdy y'all. I'm Jesus Carrasco, and as we said earlier, I was in charge of analyzing the metric of social and cultural aspects for Century Square. So I evaluated on safety and security, pedestrian comfort, and public engagement and access. So for the safety and security aspect, we noticed that around the property, since it is a P3 with A&M, does have access to UPD, so they do patrols around the area. Adequate lighting around the main developed areas, such as like the green, like by Hop Dottie and Blaze, or the George and Calvary Court, which is good for people who want to stay and walk around and feel like they're safe and not in the dark. Controlled access to retail space and apartments, so like for the apartment complex, they're monitoring who goes in, and same thing for the retail stores that lock them up at night. For access and connectivity, it's very motor friendly, it's very easy to navigate around. The George itself has started doing bike rentals, and the bike racks are starting to be put in place as well. People store them. For public engagement, as we said in the video, there's 2 acres of activated public space, so like the green and over by the canteen with Calvary Court. Oftentimes throughout the month, I think it's about twice a week, they do fitness programs, they have music events. I know they had one like last Friday as well, and community events regularly. For pedestrian comfort, it's a very open space, lots of seating, counted around about 18 seating areas. There's a new one that just, I think, opened up around Piata, like a nice little seating area. About 48 light posts to keep it well lit. and about 6 rope lightings around the green as well. For my analysis of the development, it takes a really good take on the military history of A&M with like the Cavalry Corps, and feeding off of that sort of theme from A&M, bringing in alumni. Something that Jonathan Brinston said whenever he builds or has developments is he wants to make something that's unique and hard to replicate, and that's what we feel as a team this place has done. It's essentially a small community. It's very has a lot of walkability, and the buildings themselves are really connected as far as design. They're all individual, yet they all fit with each other. However, there's no bike route set. We're not sure if there is one set for the future to be implemented into the development. There are no pet stations as far as we know. And then around the more like newly constructed areas, there are areas where it's kind of dark, and so more lighting might enhance that. So in conclusion, it is a great development. It's unique to College Station. Nothing too similar to it. And with some adjustments and additions, it could really maximize the social cultural value.
Howdy, I'm Tim. I did economics with David here. And one of the main areas that we looked at was the taxes for the property, and in order to do that, we used the Brazos CAD. And since Century Square is a P3 with Texas A&M, we saw that the taxes before were 0, but now the city is getting a lot more money. And we use North Point Crossing as a good size and scope, and we see that they're being taxed more. So once this project comes more complete, we can see that their taxes will be higher. And some of the income that we used CoStar to find out some of the information. As in the video said, it's getting about $314,000, and they will have a lot more revenue once their spaces fill up, but right now it's still pretty young.
I'm going to talk about a little bit about the future Lease space tenants. Piata is a new Italian restaurant that's going in. Hey Sugar is their 3rd Texas location, and it's going in at Century Square, and it's a candy store. And then Orange Theory is this new fad that's going around where it's a fitness type workout facility, and they use they check your heart rate, and they produce really good results. The Merge and the Hemline are both women boutiques. Merge is more of an affordable women boutique, and Hemline's pretty upper scale. We have the Gallery Day Spa. They are located on Villa Maria right now, but they want to expand, so they're moving into Century Square. Star Cinema Grill is the anchor for this area. They have, which you can see, 42,500 square feet. It's going to have a restaurant, a lounge, a bar, and you'll be able to watch a movie while you eat. Some of the future office tenants is Breakaway. That is a non-denominational Bible study. It's at Texas A&M, and they fill Reed Arena every Tuesday night. And then Premier is another office tenant, and it's a healthcare improvement company, and they will obtain 8,500 square feet, looking over the Bonfire Memorial.
Another thing that we looked at was the construction and the jobs that it created for the city to help bring in more revenue. So we saw that there's about 350 new jobs, and with the businesses that can come in with the more space that's created, they'll help further the city. And we found out that there are 15 full-time employees that help operate and take care of the property.
All right, so howdy y'all, my name is Spencer Solomon. I'm going to talk about the environmental aspects of the site. Andrew? So just like with their development at City Center in Houston, Midway is very proud of their integration of open spaces into the development. There's 2 non-contiguous acres of open and green space in Century Square. And the main one would be the green, right in the middle of the development, and it's supposed to be sort of the epitome of this integration of open space in the middle of all this development. Notably, the green here uses AstroTurf instead of real grass, and Midway did that to prevent the grass from getting trampled and dying over time. 7 mature oak trees were preserved and relocated during construction. Preserving these older oak trees has obvious benefits. They absorb more carbon dioxide and they provide much more shade. And of course, 150 new trees are planned to be planted as the development continues. And although their shade and carbon mitigation is obviously much lower than the mature trees, it will in the coming decades grow to meet their those numbers. Most of the green space on the site is xeriscate. That just means they use native or native adapted plants, which grow better in local weather. They require less water to grow, which is an obvious environmental advantage. And they generally grow healthier, bigger, more beautiful, just because they're acclimated to the local weather. All buildings in Century Square have been built with LEED certification in mind. And that just means that they just were conscientious about having a greener, healthier building. And it can be something as simple as just putting low-flow amenities in the hotels. Hotels are huge water users, so just having low-flow toilets, sinks, that sort of thing really reduces the environmental impact. We did notice some issues. The big one was the problem of drainage, especially on the green. There was just inadequate drainage. So even after a relatively light rain, it was flooded over and just very unattractive and unusable. And there's a very high amount of impermeable surface area all over the site. And something else we noticed was that a lot of the plants seem to have been planted too closely together. And as they grow larger, they'll start to sort of choke each other out. And eventually some of these plants will die as they grow, which would be an obvious eyesore and eventually will have to be replaced or removed.
So next we have sensory, and starting with that is the visual. And here you see like the chandelier at the George and the canteen, and I really appreciated all the visual detail that went into this by all these designers here listed. Light fixtures to the ground textures, and they change as you walk through a space. There's never a spot where you stop exploring, so they really meant to take a viewer through the space and keep them moving around to the next thing. And everywhere you go around Century Square is a new place to explore, and they purposely did that to get you from one point to another so that you're like through the whole entire thing. And when it's developed completely, you'll really see the impact on that financially too. And then here's some of the other just design aspects I really appreciated, anywhere from like the wall textures to the way they did the tiles at the bottom of the pool, and the seating areas, as well as at the canteen. Next we have the smell, and we're just talking about the plants. As you walk through, you can smell the different plants, such as the roses or the rosemary. And then they have large planting beds, which generate a smell as well. And they put the trash cans purposely in the back, and that also has an aesthetic touch to it with the way they've guarded it, so you don't really get any of that bad smell either. With touch, around the site there's a lot of different things to interact with, sit on, play in, which is like the pool. They have 5 different water features. 3 of those are private pools. You can still look at them and watch other people swim while you eat, but you can't really get into those. And then the water features you can touch, such as like the green area. And then, I really appreciated the inside of this because they've added so many different chairs and textures, but it all really work together. So as we were saying, like you can find pretty much any seat to fit what you want to sit in. So. Next is sound, and they have like this little bubbler in the pool which generates sound. There's also noises like such as music coming from the different places such as Merge, and then the gathering spaces, which was pictured of, will create a space for people to get together and talk and communicate, which will also generate more noise. And I think people feel more comfortable where there's noises in their surroundings, so they feel a little bit more privacy that way. And then we have taste, so yeah, if that doesn't make you hungry, I don't know what will. I've been to all of these places so far, and I think 1791 is now open, and Piata is also about to be open. They are training right now, so I'm excited about that. All of these places I've tried are really, really good, so go taste them. And then the sensory issues that I saw on the site is just the sun scorch on the plants. So On the shade side during the day, the plants are doing just fine, but I don't know if they did a sunshade analysis for this site, because directly across where they're getting the afternoon sun, they're really burning up, and so are the ground plants. And this could be from lack of water, but it's mainly because they weren't planted in the right areas. So yeah, that's those issues.
Now we'll go into a conclusion with a summary and a few recommendations for the Century Square development. To wrap up, Century Square is sort of a new kind of development for the College Station area. There are some issues with accessibility, actually getting onto the site, especially from campus. But we believe that it will grow into an asset of enduring value with some changes, maybe adjustments going forward. For social cultural, we would recommend that they improve multimodal access to the site, maybe adding a bus route, connecting it to the overall bike routes at A&M. More emphasis on the Central Green as a gathering space through programming and events. Greater engagement with Texas A&M student groups and other groups such as the churches around town. More lighting in the interstitial pedestrian spaces to improve really the safety, the feel of the site. And then more pet-friendly spaces and more seating. For environmental, we recommend that they have more usable green space. And to do that, we recommend that they connect green space to make a more contiguous network, perhaps trying to tie in some of the existing parks in College Station. Just to sort of tag on to that, increase the amount of permeable surface area to help with the drainage issues we saw on site. And then implement some environmental education on site, maybe advertise a little more about the trees saved during the construction process. And then we also saw that the new plantings were installed at too high of a density, and maybe moving forward they don't install plants at such a high density. It promotes better plant growth. For economic, as a way to sort of combat the issues they're having with the parking meters, we want to recommend that they use validated parking for visitors who support on-site businesses, and then offer incentives to help increase leased office space to maybe get that final little vacant office space rented out and really fill out the site. And then for sensory, additional elements that engage with the visitors through sound to combat a lot of the less pleasant sounds coming off of University Avenue. And then more trash cans accessible on site to cut down on the amount of litter, especially around the Central Green. Plantings in front of the development are sun-scorched, so we would recommend using more sun-tolerant plants there. Maybe switching the lantana near the Cavalry Court Hotel with the foxtail fern at the front. Those two seem to be in just opposite places for the sunshade that they're getting. And then many plants on site are also suffering from nearby construction work. Mitigating that by maybe putting up silk fences to reduce the erosion off of the construction site would go a long way in protecting those plants. Thank you very much.